Hello, my name is Mark, and I want to welcome you to this issue of the Fyrian website training. Today we're going to be talking about email marketing and how to send out email newsletters through the admin portal of your website. The first thing we're going to do is come over here and click on the Marketing tab, and that's going to bring us to the email marketing portion of the admin portal. And you can see here, this is where you're going to see the list of email newsletters that you have created, if you've created any. If you haven't created any so far, it'll just say there are no campaigns. Let's go ahead and click on Create a New Campaign, which is over here in the action box. And once we click on this, this is going to bring up the first of several options to create a new email marketing campaign. The first thing we need to do is select whether we're going to send a one-off email broadcast or a customer loyalty program. I cover customer loyalty program emails in a separate training video in relation to this CRM database. So for today, we're just going to deal with the one-off email broadcast. This is the option you're going to select anytime that you send out an email newsletter. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Next. And in here are the main settings for the newsletter itself. We have the campaign name, what we're going to call it in the system. Let's just call this one April newsletter. And I'm just going to put sample on the end here. And then we set the delivery date and delivery time. Now the default is for the upcoming midnight, so tonight at midnight. One thing about setting the time for your email campaign to go out, you want to make sure you give yourself a minimum of a 3-hour cushion. So you want to look at whatever time it is right now and add 3 hours to that. So for example, right now it's 11 o'clock at night. So I'm actually going to say the 17th, which is tomorrow, and I'm going to set this to be 2 a.m. rather than midnight. That gives me that 3-hour cushion. The reason for that is you want to allow yourself enough time to actually create the email, but then also you want to allow yourself a little bit of a cushion in case after you've created it and saved everything, you realize, oh, I forgot to put this in, or oh, we need to take this out before it gets sent out. So always make sure you leave yourself at least a 3-hour cushion. The next item here is a template. With your Fyrian website, you should have received a email newsletter template as part of the website design, which will show up here in the list. This is the template for all the different section designs of your site, and in here you'll see email newsletter template. Now, the only reason that you would not have seen that as an option is if email marketing was not included as part of your website package. Over here we've got email from name. This is who it's coming from. This can either be your name personally or the name of the business. I like to do it as the name of the business just because it's a little more professional, but that's entirely up to you. Now the email from address, this is the address that you're sending the email from. And now a couple of important notes here. First of all, you want to make sure you send this from a somewhat generic email address as opposed to your own personal email. So anything like sales@yourcompany.com or info@yourcompany.com, as long as it's a real email address that actually exists, you're fine. The reason that you want to set it for that is because if somebody flags one of your emails as spam, it'll prevent your personal email address from getting added to a blacklist. So make sure that you use a generic email address such as info@yourcompany or sales@yourcompany, and then when you actually plug that in here, it's going to give you a little message at the top of the screen. It's going to pop up in an orange box and it's going to say, warning, this email address has not been confirmed. And it's going to tell you that a verification email was sent to the address that you typed in there. Reason for that is you're actually going to have to go check that email and click on the verification link in order to authorize email campaigns to go out from that address. That's a anti-spam measure to make sure that the from email address that you're putting in there is actually a real address. So make sure that you do that and verify that address using the email that was sent to you. Otherwise, your email campaign will never get sent out. The next item here is the subject line of the email. This is the actual subject line that's going to be showing up in people's inbox. So we're actually going to call this April because I changed that at the beginning. And then we're going to leave email format alone. Once we get this done, I'm going to go ahead and click on Save Draft. And it's real important anytime you're getting ready to progress to the next screen that you click Save Draft first. That way you don't lose any of the work that you've done. So now I'm going to go ahead and click Next. And this is where I select who the email newsletter is actually going to get sent to. I can create a new list. I can select to send it to the entire customer database, or I can send it to a specific list that I have set up. In this case, I've already got a monthly newsletter list already set up. So I'm going to select that, and once I do, it gives me a couple of options down here underneath. I can upload and import additional recipients through a CSV or comma separated file, or I can add additional recipients manually just by typing in their name and email address. But in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and go with the list that I have. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save a Draft, and then click on Next. Okay, now this screen here, this is typically you're going to want to leave this blank. If you've selected a template at the very beginning, you're always going to leave this blank and just click Next if you want your emails to look like the rest of your website for branding purposes. If, however, you want to be a little more creative, a little more festive for, let's say, a holiday promotion or something of that nature, a specific event, there are 105 pre-designed templates of different styles and formats in here that you can select from. But if you select from these, make sure that the template selector at the very beginning is set to do not use a template, because you can't select both. It's one or the other. So you can see here, just by clicking on like books, for example, I can click on and select different styles and pick one of these if I want to. But most of the time you're going to leave this just blank and click Next. Once you do that, it's actually going to bring you to the window where you actually plug in the content for your newsletter. This is the actual content, the text of what you want to say. Now, one of the things is you'll notice that this is the exact same content editor as you use to edit web pages on your site, with one exception. We have a new pull down here called Tag Insert, and this is basically allowing you to do mail merge type functions using this email newsletter function. So let's say I wanted it to say Dear so-and-so with their name in there. I just put in that text and then come in here and select recipient name as the tag, and it'll insert the appropriate tag there, and I can go in here and just put in the text of the rest of my email. What this will do when I send it is it'll actually mail merge their full name in here. So this would actually come out and say, for example, Dear Mark Dolan, and then have the content of the email. So that's what that drop down does. Now you can basically do whatever you want here with the content editor. Just like any of the web pages, you can come in here and put images, links to other websites, so on and so forth. And if you want to, you can get fancy using tables to create multi-column layouts. Like if you want a 2-column newsletter, you can go in and create a table to do that. Once you get this all set up, it's critical that you click on Save Draft, because if you click on Next at this point without clicking on Save Draft, it will actually wipe out everything that you've put in here. So make sure you click Save Draft, and then when you click on Next, it's actually going to take and give you a preview of your email newsletter. Okay, I suggest that you also click on this Email Me button, because it will actually send you that email newsletter as an email just to you for testing purposes, to make sure everything looks the way that you want it to. Once you're happy with the way it looks, on the email screen you just click Save and Send. Okay, right here, after you've clicked Next and you're in that preview, there will be a button that says Save and Send. You go ahead and click that. It'll pop up a little window with the details of your setup, when it's supposed to go out, who it's going out to, who it's coming from. As long as you've reviewed that and that's fine, go ahead and click Send, and your email campaign will be on its way. It's just as simple as that. Again, this is Mark Dolan. Thanks for watching this training video. Be sure to check out the other training videos that we have up on YouTube under the YouTube user Fyrian websites.